I'm at the library again today. Friday is our second day of the week that we do curbside pickup. So we've been here 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Curbside pickup is over for the day, and I am going to carry on with my story. So today I'm wearing my mask. I've been wearing it this whole time because I'm here with Miss Donna and Miss Julie. And so we've all been wearing our masks to protect each other. But now that curbside pickup is over and they're not going to have to come over to this side, I can take my mask off. All right. Also, I'm right in the corner. I'm sitting at my new desk. I got a new desk and we had it moved all the way down to the other end of the children's area. So you might notice behind me now are the books on CD and some of the chapter books over here. So I'm right in the corner, which is where I wanted to be. And now I can see everybody coming into the library, you know, when we get back to having people come into the library. So I'm excited to be in my new spot with these books. And don't the books make a nice backdrop for my video? I like it. All right, we're going to continue reading Caterpillar Summer by Gillian McDunn. I have to look at the name every time because I'm not familiar with this author. Eventually, I will know off the top of my head. Gillian McDunn. Thank you to Bloomsbury for permission to read aloud. We are on chapter 6, page 68. The one disadvantage to reading in the library is I can't have my cats with me. I like having my cat snuggle with me while I read. Even if they do sometimes get in the way and try and steal the camera from me. All right. Kat's favorite spot in the house was her bedroom, Mom's old room. If the house was something out of a picture book, the room was something out of a dream. The big bed was snuggly and safe, even though she had to share it with Chicken. The walls were lined with detailed drawings of maps and ships. They were the kind of drawings that invited you in. Kat imagined Lily picking them out and framing them. Mom must have loved looking at them too. Kat looked for clues everywhere. So far, all she found out was that Mom had been a collector. Her treasures included shells and shark teeth, a telescope, 3 bunny nightlights. Why, Mom? And 1,000,000 colored pencils in every shade. It was perfect. And for these 3 weeks, it was hers and Chicken's, at least at night. Downstairs, Lily was straightening the kitchen. Chicken was drawing at the table. "Can we go out on the beach again?" Kat asked. As she spoke, the door opened and Macon was standing on the deck, shaking the sand off his shoes. He held a blue coffee mug in one hand and a few pieces of trash in the other. "How was it?" Lily asked. "No action," he said. He threw away the trash and started washing his hands in the kitchen sink. Lily saw Kat's curious expression and smiled. "Sea turtles. He looks for their nests." Chicken's eyes widened. "There are sea turtles on the beach?" "This time of year, they make nests in the sand," said Lily. "We have to keep the lights off at night so they can find their way back to the ocean." "Let's go find a nest," Chicken said. Lily patted Chicken's shoulder. "We can't investigate the nests because that could hurt the baby turtles, but we can go for a walk after a bit. I need a little time to get ready." She glanced at Macon. "Ah," said Macon. "I was going to work on my keel and rudder." "Well, for goodness sake," said Lily. "If it can't wait, bring your ship upstairs." Macon disappeared out the door. "I can watch Chicken if he doesn't want to be up here," Kat started to say, but Lily had already gone to get ready. Kat felt awkward, like she had about doing the dishes. She didn't understand the rules here. Maybe she should tell them that she could watch Chicken. She watched him all the time. She looked at Chicken. "Did Macon say he was going to work on a ship?" "That's what he said," said Chicken, still drawing. "And he's going to bring it up here?" "That's what Lily said," said Chicken, switching to orange. "Well, how is that going to work?" Chicken didn't look up. He drew the fin of a hammerhead. Cat looked at the page. Sharks don't have orange fins. Chicken shrugged. This one does. The door opened, and Macon came in, holding some pieces of wood in one hand and a glass bottle in the other. Thought you might like a look at this. Macon placed the bottle sideways on the table. Inside was a tiny ship. Whoa, said Chicken. Chicken dropped his crayon. These are like the ones in the guest room. Did you make them? I do, said Macon. How? Asked Cat. I learned by using kits, but now I make pieces from scrap wood. Cat leaned forward. It didn't look like it had been made out of scraps. It had 2 long masts with 2 big sails and a few smaller sails. The base of the boat was painted a rich navy blue, and there were little portholes and even a tiny anchor. Do you ever go on fishing boats? Do you ever go fishing on boats? Cat asked. Real ones, I mean. Macon's face tensed. No, I get seasick. It was hard to believe that such a solid person would do something like get seasick. The thought made her want to smile a little, like when she saw a really tall person walking a tiny dog. Macon cleared his throat. Your mom always liked boats, but I get sick every time. I'm meant to be on land, I guess. He looked down. Cat didn't feel like smiling anymore. Macon stood so quickly, his chair scraped the floor. I have an errand to do. Your grandmother should be downstairs soon. He gathered his things and was out the door before Cat or Chicken could say a word. She didn't understand what made him bolt, just as they were having a real conversation. Watching the blue Jeep back out of the driveway made her realize how alone she and Chicken were on this island. Macon and Lily were technically their grandparents, but they were also strangers. Macon seemed happy to keep it that way. Chicken looked upset. Was Macon mad? Cat's sadness turned to irritation. She couldn't stand people who made Chicken feel worried. I guess he had to go. Grown-up stuff. It was all she could think of to say. He should use belly breaths to stay calm, said Chicken. He handed her fuchsia. Want to draw? She drew a starfish and filled it in until Lily came downstairs. Ready to go out? She asked. She carried 3 rolled towels and showed them a mesh bag of sand toys. Together, they headed to the sand. Sunshine danced on the waves. Walk first or castles first? Asked Lily. Let's walk, said Cat, as Chicken said, Castles! Lily looked at both of them. Cat was about to say that it was okay to build. She could wait for her walk. Let's walk, said Lily finally. I want to find some sea glass for my collection. Do you want to start a collection too, Chicken? Chicken nodded, with a glint in his eye. Shark teeth. Of course. Lily held Chicken's hand carefully, and they walked toward the water. I don't like the waves, he said, digging in his feet. We won't go in, but if we want to find shark teeth, we should get closer, Lily said. Chicken closed his eyes. Cat could tell his insides were battling. Ocean fear versus shark love. He opened his eyes and blinked in the bright sun. We can look for shark teeth, he said finally, but I don't want to get wet. They approached the water, Chicken finding shells and rocks with each step. He handed each to Lily. Cat paused, turning to where water met sand. There were so many shells, she had to be careful where she stepped. She checked again to make sure Lily was holding his hand. She was. Chicken pointed at the water, talking animatedly, while Lily listened patiently. The water was cooler than yesterday. She waded to her knees, watching choppy waves rush around her legs. A family of 5 pelicans soared over the water. Cat wanted a do-over. She felt betrayed by Chicken for seeming so comfortable and happy here. He had been looking forward to seeing Rishi almost as much as Cat. She didn't want to let go of the vacation that should have happened. She wanted the green lake with friends who were like family. The one where she got to see Mom every night. Not dumped here with people she barely knew. A wave bubbled her back a step. Cat dug her toes into the sand. She glanced again at Chicken, who held Lily's hand like it was the most normal thing in the world. Cat wanted to flop down and cry, like Chicken had at the airport. The difference was, Chicken knew someone would carry him, and Cat didn't. She always picked herself up. She would have to figure out how to do that here. Chapter 7. During the heat of the afternoon, Lily and Chicken played Go Fish. Cat read in her room. When she came downstairs, the house was quiet. Lily and Chicken were gone. Maybe they'd gone outside. Of course, she hadn't seen Macon since morning. Cat pushed the sliding glass door, and as she did, a scream came from the beach. She froze for an instant. Chicken! She imagined the worst. He was upset and ran down the beach, or worse, into the waves. Her heart flip-flopped at the thought. She ran onto the sand. Chicken and Lily were there, on the beach. Somehow, Chicken had convinced her to take the laundry basket outside. "Are you all right?" she asked when she got close enough. "I thought I heard you scream." Chicken turned to her. "We dug up a half-eaten crab. It was super gross." Lily smiled. "We threw it in the sand over there a ways, if you want to see before a gull snatches it." Cat would wait for her heart to return to normal before she went looking for something disgusting. They were building a sandcastle. Lily sat in the sand, but Chicken kneeled in the basket and reached over the edge to dig. He'd leaned so far it looked like he might topple out. "Careful of your treasures," said Lily. He squinted up at Cat. "See my collection?" Inside the basket were dozens of shells. "Very nice," said Cat. She sank to the ground and scooped a handful of sand. "When we're done, we'll fill that bucket and make the moat," Chicken explained. Lily beamed at him. "To keep dragons out?" Chicken looked at Lily like she'd lost her mind. "It's so sharks can live there." He shook his head and went back to his digging, muttering "dragons" under his breath. Cat smiled to herself, excavating a handful of sand. Moats were obviously for sharks. Lily hadn't totally figured out Chicken yet. Lily handed her a plastic shovel. The shovel was flimsy, but better than using her hands. "We'll find better toys," said Lily. "We weren't prepared." Cat didn't want Lily making a big deal out of their visit. They would leave in 3 weeks, probably never come back. "Don't bother buying anything new. We won't be here long." They worked quietly for a while. Lily mounded damp sand on the castle. After a while, Chicken said he was tired of digging. He arranged the shell collection into smaller piles. Digging made Cat feel peaceful and calm. "Rishi's family used to take us to the beach sometimes when Mom worked." "Sounds nice," said Lily. "Most of the time, the water was too cold to swim," Cat went on, "but we could dig." From the laundry basket came a blub, 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 vroom. Chicken was making motorboat noises. Cat and Lily flashed a quiet smile at each other. "This is my favorite time of the day." Lily's voice was barely louder than the sound of the waves. "The way it cools off before sunset. The light is so beautiful. Everything glows." Cat squeezed a mound of sand. She opened her fingers slowly. The sand had ridges from the spaces between her fingers. "My dad always talked about the light like that." Lily paused mid-scoop. "He saw such beauty in the everyday." Cat startled, looking up from her hands. "Did you know him?" "Oh, yes," said Lily. "Amanda brought him home many times, even before they were dating. He liked the island, and I loved having them here." This seemed like a clue, one that had popped up out of nowhere. To hide her surprise, Cat concentrated on smoothing the walls of the moat. She didn't know that Macon and Lily had ever met Daddy, but they had. It sounded as if Lily liked him, even. Cat wondered what Macon thought. It would be close to impossible to find out with the way he hid in his workshop all the time. The one time he actually talked to them, he rushed off abruptly. Maybe he was the reason Mom left. Lily squinted at something behind Cat. "Oh dear," she said. "Those boys shouldn't be on the dunes. They know better." Up by the houses, 3 boys jumped and rolled on the sandy hills. "The sign says stay off," said Cat. "The dunes are protected," said Lily. "If the beach grass dies, it will destroy the dune." "How obnoxious," said Cat. Lily looked like she was thinking about saying something to the boys, but instead she turned to Cat. "It's so nice having you here, Cat. You're such a great kid." "Oh," said Cat, looking down. She squeezed the sand between her fingers. Thanks. I see how you look out for Chicken, said Lily. You do so much for him. Cat shrugged. Chicken made speedboat noises. Holding a family together is a quiet kind of work, Lily continued. Sometimes that work doesn't get noticed so much. Cat brushed the sand from her hands, thinking, both Mom and Chicken would go in 100 different directions without Cat there to steady them. But sometimes it was like they didn't notice she was there. Lily had a point. Suddenly, the boat noises stopped. Chicken peeped over the edge of the laundry basket. I have to poop, he announced. Emergency. Lily touched her hand lightly to her chest. Gracious! She gave Chicken her hand. They hurried inside. Cat held the basket and gathered the toys. She didn't want to build a castle anymore. The beach was deserted except for the boys playing on the dunes. They climbed to the top and flipped forward, turning a circle in the air before landing. A wheelbarrow stood at the bottom and they nearly crashed into it several times. They didn't seem to care, just clambered up the hill again, not noticing the plants they trampled. Cat inched closer. 2 boys had brown hair, and one had floppy blonde hair. The blonde kid was smaller than the other 2. She guessed he was 8 or 9, somewhere between her and Chicken in age. He wasn't as solid as the other boys, not as strong. The biggest boy took the most daring flips. He also assigned scores to each of them according to some made-up scoring pattern. Tanner, that's 50 points. John Harvey, that's 6 for you. Cat rolled her eyes. 6 points for the little blonde kid when the other one got 50? It made her sure the bigger boy was John Harvey's brother. John Harvey frowned. That's not fair, Briggs. His voice was surprisingly deep and raspy for a little kid. Briggs sneered. Don't be such a baby. You'd get more points if you managed a halfway decent flip. John Harvey's neck flushed. He scrambled up the dune and stood at the top, waving his arms. I'll do a backflip. Briggs and the other boy laughed. I'd love to see you try, said Briggs. John Harvey glared at them. 100 points if I make it. He threw himself backward from the top of the hill. His start was strong, and at first it seemed like he would land on his feet, but he lost momentum partway. He smacked the ground face first in the world's sandiest belly flop. John Harvey lay still, face down, while the other boys hooted. Briggs kicked an arc of sand across John Harvey's legs. He didn't react. Cat set down the laundry basket and moved closer. She couldn't walk away with him lying there. He could have hurt his back or neck. The bigger boys jostled each other, laughing. Hey, Cat said. They didn't stop. She walked closer. Hey! This time they heard her. The older boys turned her way, and as they did, John Harvey stirred. He sat up, scrubbing at his eyes and mouth. The sand coating his face made him look like a sugar donut. What do you want? Briggs asked. He glared at her, like she was the one who'd done something wrong. Cat couldn't stand kids who had to be so nasty. She tilted her head at John Harvey. He looked small sitting on the ground. Are you okay? Briggs and the other boy laughed. Cat frowned. That was not the reaction she was expecting. Briggs pushed John Harvey's shoulder. You got a girl standing up for you. Cat glared at Briggs. She didn't know what being a girl had to do with anything. You shouldn't pick on little kids. At this, the older boys started laughing so hard they bent over. John Harvey's ears flamed red. He got to his feet and stood straight. I'm not little. I'm 12. Cat raised her eyebrows. 12? She looked at him carefully. He was short, but compact and strong-looking in a way most little kids weren't. His face pinched in a snarl. What a baby, Briggs said, stretching out his voice so the vowels took forever and a day. What a sweet little baby. Maybe she can help you do your flip next time, added Tanner. He grinned when this comment sent Briggs into a new wave of laughter. Cat's face warmed, partly for herself and partly for John Harvey. You shouldn't have been up on the dunes anyway. The boys straightened up. Briggs' laugh was gone, and he had that sneer again. What do you know about it? He asked. You're on vacation and you're some kind of expert? Let me guess, 1 week rental? Cat glared back at him, heart buzzing like a trapped insect. She wasn't wrong. Lily said being on the dunes was wrong, even illegal. He had no right to make her feel like she didn't belong. She straightened her shoulders. For your information, she began, I am not on vacation. I am staying with my grandparents who live here. She pointed to the sign behind them. And anyway, I don't have to be from here to know how to read. Unless you guys haven't learned how. Shut up, said John Harvey. He shook his hair out of his eyes. At least we don't take a laundry basket to the beach. Kat was about to ask what that meant coming from a kid who'd brought a wheelbarrow, but Briggs was too quick for her. With a few long steps, he crossed to the basket on the sand, scooped it with one hand, and tossed it to Tanner. Toys and seashells spilled out. Kat clenched her fists by her side. Give it back. That's my brother's. The boy tossed the basket to John Harvey in a lopsided arc. He caught it and looked toward Briggs, who jerked his head toward the dune. John Harvey's mouth curled in a mean smile. He scaled the dune and placed the basket at the top. Why do you have this out here anyway? Doing your laundry? The other boys laughed. Why do you have that wheelbarrow? Kat asked. Doing some gardening? They ignored her. Let's get out of here, said Briggs. I hate this part of the beach anyway. She couldn't believe they were leaving Chicken's basket on the dune. You better go get it, Kat yelled after them. Briggs spun around, walking backward as he shouted back at her. Or what? Kat didn't have an answer. John Harvey sneered. Next time, we'll toss it in the ocean. The three of them laughed and continued walking down the beach, John Harvey pushing their dumb wheelbarrow, which made stupid lines in the sand. She pushed her fingers against her eyes. She was not going to cry over a bunch of nasty, dumb island kids. She had to get the basket. The dune was steeper than she realized. She wanted to climb it in a dash, but instead she lumbered awkwardly. If she paused to take a breath, she slid backward and stumbled on the loose sand. Finally, she found footholds and made her way to the top. A window in the nearby house whooshed up. A balding man leaned out. Hey now, y'all need to get off that dune. Kat held up the basket. She started. The window slammed shut. Inside, she boiled. She got yelled at, and the boys didn't hear a peep. She hurried down the dune and gathered the seashells and sand toys. It was a small island, but not a tiny one. If she was lucky, she could avoid those boys. She slid open the glass door. My boat, said Chicken. Chicken had no idea what she'd been through to get that dumb basket, but he still could have said thank you for bringing it in. Nice to see you too, said Kat. Chicken shrugged. I'm glad to see you, Kat, but I am extra super glad to see my boat. He put the basket over his head and marched around the living room. Lily was busy chopping vegetables. Kat didn't want to talk to her anyway, not about this. She felt deflated, emptied out, after what had happened on the beach. She turned to Chicken. Let's see if Mom can video chat. Yes, I want to show her my boat. Kat ran upstairs for her tablet and brought it back down. It took a while to connect. Now, don't yell and don't put your face too close to the screen, she reminded Chicken. I won't, he said. Well, you always do, said Kat. Not always, said Chicken, leaning backward so far he almost fell over. Finally, it connected with a ping. Hey, kids, said Mom. How are you doing? My phone is low on charge, so I can't talk for long. We were on the beach 2 times today, said Chicken, and we saw Macon's boat, which goes in a jar. Not a jar, a bottle, said Kat. That's nice, said Mom. What else? Lily showed us their big blue book, said Chicken, except it's not blue, but other than that, it is like our big blue book. I saw your photos, said Kat. Even on a tiny screen from 400 miles away, it was easy to see that Mom was uncomfortable. Pretty boring, right? Kat didn't know what she was talking about. Mom and Macon had been grinning in all those photos. That wasn't boring, that was special. The kind of special she wanted with Mom. You went fishing with Macon all the time, she said. It was a lifetime ago, Mom answered. Could we go this weekend when you visit? Asked Kat. You could teach me. Come on, Mom, please. Mom sighed. Okay, we'll see. Kat grinned. They would fish together, be a team together. It wasn't as good as their Atlanta trip would have been, but it could be a kind of second place vacation. My phone is running out. Let's talk later this week. Love you guys. Be good. Yes, Mama, said Chicken. Love you too, said Cat. The picture cut out. Cat looked at the blank screen for a moment before turning it off. She didn't know why Mom had to be so mysterious about her past. Cat thought about everything she had learned so far. That Mom had loved fishing, that Macon was a busy doctor, that Mom had left and never come back. Nothing added up. It felt like Cat had a handful of puzzle pieces, but couldn't see the picture they made. Mom held all the pieces, but she wasn't helpful. She avoided talking about the island as much as she could. To get the answers she needed, Cat would have to be creative. If Mom wouldn't tell her, she'd have to find someone who could. That's the end of that chapter. On Monday, we will start chapter 8, which is page 86. I hope you have a lovely weekend. The weather is getting nice, so hopefully we can have some nice outdoor time. Make sure you wear your mask if you go outdoors, though. I hope you enjoyed the reading today, and I will see you on Monday. Bye-bye.